talking about in Manhattan, addressed to James Clapper. We will have much more information coming up, abc7ny.com and on our free news app.
Until Live's Halloween show.